I'm going to do a brief, I'm going to try to cut these videos shorter, a brief one on fonts. I always tell people, like, if I'm doing their signs or whatever the case may be, just some wording on something, I always tell them there's a couple ways to do things, a couple ways to do these fonts. Every time you do a font, it's purple, you got to come over here, you got to switch it right there. Anyway, a couple ways to do things here. This one right now, I would go, for the most part, this font is pretty good at connecting. If I were to want to do this real quick, go through and get rid of these. Undo. Yeah, get rid of. Yep, there's a problem there. There's the little things I need to be showing you guys, the little stuff that happens. You'll get it on fonts, like, let's see if this might do it again. Anyway, right here. It highlighted all this when I try to delete it. I don't know why it doesn't on fonts. It's something with the tolerances. But what I always do is just go in here, click your line, right click, cut contour, right click, cut contour, click on this line, cut contour, click on this line, cut it, get rid of this. Now go in here, select your points tool, and go to endpoint, and just connect it. So you'll drag it over there. Sometimes fonts do it a lot. I'm not sure why. Mostly with the cursive. Highlight this, merge selection. There we are. Anyway, when you do the fonts, they have a hard time falling out. So, as I'm sure I've told you before, that you have to keep the centers in. If I cut this all out, this is just going to be a big circle. So you have to do things like this. You have to go in, add a little relief spot that's going to help hold that in. And sometimes this is going to get your fonts looking, you have to do a spot to hold it. Sometimes it gets your fonts looking weird. They don't quite look right, so you really got to mess around with them. And another thing is that this tolerance here, like, if for me, I would go ahead and open this up bigger, you know, because this is where it's going to come in contact. Your plasma will cup here in this corner. It'll take a sharp turn. Well, this will get pretty thin real quick. I try to stay at least an 1/8 inch wide. I don't go below 1/8 inch because it'll just start cutting. It'll start snipping it off by the time it gets done. So you always want to make things as thick as you can, I guess. And so a lot of times I'll take these like this. Let's take this word here, ungroup this. So I can highlight this one. I'll ungroup something. You can go in here and go down to this is an offset. It just puts an outline around it. You can change your outline thickness here, like change it up a little bit. Do one more. You can apply that. You go in here, delete this, delete that, and we're gonna ungroup here. We're gonna delete this one. See, you've thickened your word up substantially. A lot of times it has to be done. So, if this were on a sign, it's going to get cut out, and this is going to be just see-through. This is what's going to be. Now, I say there's two ways to do them, because here's the other way. The other way you can do something is to, let's just put something underneath that. If you want to keep your words together and not have them cut out of something, you can just come in here and do something simple like this. Go through, do something simple like this here, and then make sure you're touching all the bottom of your letters, sort of. And then you can go through with your trim tool, trim it, and trim that. You're just going to go along the bottom and trim your letters up so they all come in contact with this bottom row here. And so when you get done, you'll have it standing up out in the open. An easy way to do this, if you want to avoid doing this and keeping these letters like this would fall out, if you want to avoid that, there's a couple fonts. The best one is called Black Ops 1. You type in Gabe, and it's already got the spacing for you. They're military letters. I mean, that's what I call them anyway. Just military letters. But that there, you wouldn't have to do much to it. Now, sometimes I will take this. Remember, you got to hit this tool right here to convert it to curves. But like, I'll go, like, these spaces are a little tight. Maybe the words, 4 inches long, so it'd be pretty tight. I go in here to my offset tool again, but I put an inline on it. I apply that. Get rid of my outside one. Now it's still readable, but I've thickened my spaces up substantially here, so I don't have to worry about them coming together or falling out. And even here, a lot of times what you'll run into is you won't necessarily be just a line under it. What you run into a lot of times, if this were a cursive word, you make a whole square. Make you a whole square around it like this. And then if you can go and trim out your letters like up here I did, but you got top and bottom, so that way you're not so flimsy. Depends how big your words are, I guess. But that is the best way to go about fonts. And I will say one thing, it is tough to do small letter font letters. They're tough to get. And just make sure your gaps are wide enough. If not, it doesn't work. If they're too small, you just have to tell somebody it doesn't work out, sorry. Because you'll cut a whole piece and then you'll get a letter that's dropped out. One piece is falling out. It's like, well, then it's hard to put back in. So you run into a whole bunch of issues. It's very frustrating. But yeah, keep them thick, keep your spaces wide, and you will be okay.